with Sky Sports News, please, Fraser. Go ahead, Fraser.
Hi, Joe. How are you doing? Have you had enough of Danny Rubin shouting champions in your ear all yet, by any chance?
Give him his moment. It's been a long time. He's lost a lot of hair since the last time we were in the Premier League.
All right. Come on, crack on.
Oh, that was below the belt. First of all, squad-wise, obviously in naming all six of your fast bowlers, what are the considerations that you're going to have to take into account before whittling it down to your final 11?
Yeah, we'll take into consideration the surface. We've obviously got a small indication of what that could be like, having played last week. And we'll also have to be really clear on where Ben's at, still feeling it a little bit in his quad. So making sure that he's fit to bowl, and if not, then that might change how we go with things slightly.
How is he looking at the moment? Because Jason was saying earlier that he thought everybody to some degree would be feeling it, the fact that it was back-to-back test matches, but it does take an awful lot out of people, doesn't it?
It does, and he pretty much spent the whole time on the field, so it was a long old game for him, but it does take a lot to keep him down, if you like, and to take him out of the action. So we'll see how he is in the morning. And you look at the squad of players we've got plenty of brilliant options to choose from. So I feel like whatever combination we decide to go with is definitely worthy of taking 20 wickets.
And obviously a lot's gone on with Jofra Archer, not just with the bio bubble break and what have you, but the racist abuse that he suffered afterwards, and in his newspaper column saying that he feels like he needs to have motivation again. How do you assess his mental state at the moment? Do you think he's going to be 100% ready for it?
Yeah, I think Jofra will be ready for it. He's had 2 very good days of training. He's got his smile back. He's bowling speed of light the last 2 days on some spicy nets, so it wasn't much fun for our batters. But it was disgusting actually to see some of the stuff he's had to put up with over the last week. It really is. And as a squad, we tried to get around him and make sure he knows that we're all there for him, because no one should have to deal with that, whether you're a professional sportsman, regardless of what line of work you're in, whether you're at school, a kid growing up, no one should have to go through anything like that. And it's deeply disappointing, and well, there's no other word other than disgusting, really.
Thanks, Joe. Nice to know you'll all be marching on together.
Thanks, Fraser. We will go with Paul Newman, please.
Hi, Joe. Could I just clarify with Ben? Are you saying that he's a doubt for the match completely, or he's okay to play as a batsman?
Definitely okay to play as a batsman, Paul. Yeah, no, don't worry too much. You see a little bit of concern on your face there. No, he's fit to play the game. It's just how much of an impact he can have with the ball, whether that's throughout the whole game in the second innings or at all. So that's something that we'll have. We've got another day to work out where he'll be and to be a bit more confident on that. And if not, then we've got plenty of good options to go with to get around that.
And I guess it's a reminder of, he's as you said, we're in the presence of greatness with him, and it's just a reminder that he's got to be looked after, I suppose, because he puts so much into everything he does.
Absolutely, and we're talking about looking after everyone throughout this summer, with it being so many games in such a short space of time, and when you are 150% every ball for six games on the bounce, it's always going to take its toll at some point. Obviously, we all want to make sure we get the most out of Ben, the best out of him, and I'm sure he wants to ride the wave. And it must be quite difficult when you're playing as well as he is to maybe have to rein it back in every now and again. You just want to keep going and ride the crest of it, and we all want him to do that as well. So, but it is important that he's looked after, and he's matured so much. I think we saw that him actually feeling it and saying, I'm not right to finish the over. That's a massive step forward for him, and shows his maturity and where he's come with his cricket, because we wouldn't have seen that a few years ago. They just kept going on through it and might have done himself some real damage. So, it's something that we're obviously paying great attention to for Ben and for the rest of the squad.
And finally, if it's felt that he can't bowl much, you've got to try and squeeze another bowler in there somehow. He obviously balances everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the options. We could also go with a three-seam attack and a spinner. So there's a number of different ways we can look at it. We'll have a look at the conditions tomorrow and the surface, and again assess Ben, see where he's at, and then make a call from there.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go with Rory and then John, please.
Joe, just before the first test, Ben said, same position to you really, had all the seamers available, and he said in 24 hours time he'd probably have a few less mates than he had at the start of the week. But I mean, we understand it's a good headache to have. That's sort of taken as read. But are you kind of ready to grasp the nettle a bit and annoy a few people and leave a few of your mates not particularly pleased with you? It's part of the job.
It is part of the job, unfortunately, and it shouldn't really come into being your mate or not. It's just, as a squad, we've got a goal to try and win this series, and collectively, we've all got to play our part in that. However big or smaller part that is, and if everyone's aware of that, for these conditions, their skill set might not fit it as well as someone else, and under my and Spoons' opinion, then they have to deal with that and understand that. No, it's not necessarily they don't think they're good enough to play for England. It's just on this week and these conditions that I think there's a better option. And there's a number of things you have to weigh up, as always. With the amount of cricket some of the guys have played, that might factor into it as well. Making sure everyone's feeling fresh and there's no hangover from the last game, and making sure bodies are ready to deal with the workload of a test match. So it's not always as straightforward as you want to pick your best team and your statistically best team, or your players who are right on form at this moment in time. Is a number of things that come into it. Obviously, you want all of that to fit together as best as possible. And if guys are upset and annoyed about it, that shows that they care. And if they're annoyed with me for a few days, then I have to deal with that, because if people are caring and they're desperate to play for England, then English cricket's in a good place. If there's some very talented players that are sat on the sidelines this week, which there definitely will be.
Okay, we'll go with John Etheridge, please, and then George to go.
No, hi. Just on Joffrey, you say that he's smiling again and bowling like the speed of light. Is that enough for you? Is that enough evidence, or we actually had to sort of sit him down and have a chat just to make doubly sure he's okay?
Yeah, there's been some good conversations with Jofra over the past few days, and it is really important that he's in a mentally good place and a good enough place to play the game. That'd be factored into things as well. But we're all here to support him. We're all here to get around him, and he knows that he's not going through this on his own. And I think that's really important. And I think a lot of it will be, he had a smile back on his face because he was playing again. He's back out there with ball in hand, and he's doing what he loves the most, which is playing cricket. So, of course, we'll make sure that he's absolutely okay to go. But very excited that to see him smiling and enjoying his cricket.
Can I also ask you, obviously with Ben's possible doubt over his ability to bowl, like various permutations, but would it be fair to speculate that the old firm of Broad and Anderson might be back in operation tomorrow?
There's definitely an option in the squad, so yeah, that's on the table for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, Jimmy told us yesterday that he hopes very much that going forward that they'll play plenty more Test cricket together again.
Yeah, and it's exciting to know that there's pretty much 1,000 wickets between them, and they could be leading the attack. As I've said, they're two of our best cricketers of all time, and feel like they've got a lot left in both of them. And when they get on the field together, they've generally got a very good record, especially in English conditions. So, of course, that'd be an exciting prospect.
Yeah, thanks.
George, go ahead, please.
Hi, Joe. I wondered whether you thought there was anything you could learn from the way Dom Sibley in particular, but and Ben, went about his batting in the first innings. It was incredibly disciplined and patient, wasn't it? And a bit like the innings that you played, you got 200 against Pakistan, wasn't it? At Old Trafford a couple of years ago. And I don't know, I wondered whether there was anything that you felt you could learn from that.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're probably right, yeah. It's something that I've thought about a lot over the past week since playing that shot in the first innings. But I think there's probably a bit of match rust there, if you like, not playing a bit anxious, want to get out there and score some runs. And thankfully, I had two guys that read the situation better than I did on that occasion, which was really pleasing to see. To see a young guy go out there and perform in the manner that he did. I know it fits the way he plays his cricket anyway, and the way he likes to set up an innings. But I still think there's more to come from Dom. And Ben is, as we've said a lot over the past few days, he has grown so much as a player and as a batsman. We've seen a range of ways that he can go out and play different situations now. And it was not just a great lesson to me, but for the rest of the batting group and the rest of the guys within the group not playing the game. It was a real masterclass of how to set up a first innings score and put scoreboard pressure on for the West Indies, which ultimately was a big driving force in us winning the game.
Thank you.
John Norman from TalkSport, please.
Hey, Joe. Talking about Archer, and you made mention of the fact it's very important that he understands that you've all got his back within the team. I'm just wondering how you as a captain or how the team specifically go about making sure he understands that.
Just being there for him more than anything, trying to spend some time with him, and know that no one within this squad should feel like they're isolated or on their own. Of course, sometimes that can be quite difficult when you're left in a room on your own at night, thinking about the game. You got your own thoughts flying through your mind. It can be quite a lonely place sometimes. Everyone's felt that, I think, especially if things are going against you, or there are things within the game that don't quite feel right. And regardless of if you've got 5 or 6 of your closest mates in the same team, you can sometimes feel lonely and on your own. And it's very important there that he's willing to talk to the guys in the dressing room, and of course we're there for him to listen to him. But we're desperate for him to be smiling and enjoying his cricket, and it was great to see that over the past 2 days.
And in terms of managing another kind of character, Ben Stokes in this instance, is he the kind of player that you have to wrestle the ball off of? I mean, he didn't bowl for a while, and then I think he bowled 11 over spell in first innings and second. I might be slightly wrong there, but is he the kind of guy that even as a captain, you have to almost steel yourself to tap him on the shoulder and say, that'll do for now?
Yeah, definitely. He wants to affect the game. That's the beauty of him. He's desperate to be the man to turn things around and to win you the game. And there were a few occasions where I did check in with him when he was bowling the other day, both first and second innings, saying, I think that's enough, and he wanted one more. And as I say, he has matured as a player now, and you sometimes have to put trust in the player to tell you when enough's enough. I feel like he's in a place where he can do that. So again, that's the sort of commitment that you want to see from senior players, and it feeds down through the rest of the group.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. We'll go with Simon Wilde, and then we'll take one more from India, please. Simon?
Hi, Joe. Just a quick question on Joss Buttler. I don't think he's got a 50 in his last 12 innings. Is he a guy like Jofra that you need to maybe just support a little bit at this point? Because Ed was saying to us earlier, he's clearly a key member of the team in many ways that don't just amount to runs, really. Can you just say where you are with him?
Yeah, I think Joss is very aware of the position he's got within the team and the role that he played. Look at the last game, and both times he's left in a situation where he's basically given his wicket up for the good of the group, and that's the sort of player he is, and that's how he goes about his cricket and why he's so valuable to our team, is because he's willing to play in a manner that suits the situation, suits what we need from him at any given point. I think it must have been quite hard for him actually. In the first innings again, got himself in a position where he felt good and he was playing some good cricket, and then lose a couple of wickets at the other end, and he's there trying to get on with it, and that 40 could easily have gone into a 70 odd not out, and it's a different place, and you feel on top of the world with your batting again. So mentally for him, that's the thing that he's got to try and look at. You know, he's in the first 2 games of this series, first innings both times has looked one of our better players in many ways, and looked in good order. So I feel like the score's just round the corner for him. And he's an experienced player now, so I'm sure he knows that, and he'd be desperate to, if he gets an opportunity to get in this week, we'll go and make it when he can.
Thanks. Last question from Arani, the Times of India, please.
Joe, at the start of the series, there was much talk about the need for pace on these wickets, kind of thing. Has that changed over the period of the series, or how different has been planning a wicket in these circumstances with no survivor, talk about less swing on everything? Is it more about bowling at the wickets kind of thing?
I think in terms of the wickets, what we want as the England team in home conditions, we want some very good cricket wickets. We want have pace, have carry, and have the ability to bat long periods of time. That's the best way for us to develop as a side, to go out and score consistently, try and score 400 plus runs, and then to have an attack that can take wickets on a surface that sometimes doesn't do as much. I think in the past we've had surfaces which have gone around the place more than we like, and it's been very hard work, and it's hard to get that consistency in your batting. And if we want to be successful everywhere in the world, we need to get used to doing that time and time again. So in terms of the wickets, you want good cricket wickets that are good for, that offer a little bit for the bowlers, but more than anything have a bit of pace and carry. And then in terms of pace, every captain wants pace in their attack. I think look around the world, most teams do want a guy that can bowl up at 90 miles an hour because they can make things happen when it isn't doing much. And then you factor in the skill levels of the rest of the group that we've got around, the guys like Woody and Jofra. You look at the other bowlers that can complement them. We're very fortunate at the moment, and it's a very nice place to be. So I wouldn't say we wanted anything too specific at this time, other than just the ability to hopefully go and play good old traditional cricket where go and make big first innings runs. Our batters go and spend time in the middle and bat long periods of time, get used to scoring big hundreds and have big partnerships. And then as a bowling group, be quite clever about how we're going to take 20 wickets on surfaces that aren't doing much, because you go to some other places around the world, like Australia, like New Zealand, South Africa, it can be quite hard sometimes. And the only way we're going to learn is by doing it more and more often.
Sure. Thanks, Joe.